Good morning, Judy Latabo from the Quilting Bee in Maslin, Ohio. And we are continuing our stroll down Riley Blake's design challenge for 2023. And yesterday on a Monday for a change, they released Block 7, which is Honey Blossom by Lori Holt. And Honey Blossom calls for 8 different fabrics. So that was an unwieldy number, and I'm glad it came out a day early because it gave me last evening to pull and put together and think about which fabrics I would use. Remembering I'm doing a scrappy challenge. So in pulling, I decided, okay, I need to break this down. And I broke it down into segments within the block that we'll be doing. And I first looked at the periwinkle. And I thought, all right, for the periwinkle, I'm going to use, of course, my common denominator. That's been in all of them so far. And I put with it a very pale print, not busy at all. And it has a little bit of color in it. So I thought, all right, that will be a pretty pinwheel for the very center. Next, I looked at the 4 corner segments. And again, if you recall, last week I had said, I'm going to start using more prints. So what I pulled for this week is this pretty little, there's pinks and roses and teals and some gold in it. I pulled this for the corner, and with it, I pulled a teal, and then this pink batik, pink or rose. So that will be my corners. From there, I needed to go to the 2 rectangles that are on each side of the block. And again, remembering the gold that I have in my print, I pulled this golden yellow batik and went with something that has all my colors in it but a slightly paler look. We'll see. So those are the fabrics I've selected, including the white, 8 different fabrics, which is a little concerning about in one little block. But I remembered my mother's quilts, and whatever she was quilting, whichever pattern, she didn't worry about companions, coordinates, collection. She just had scraps and started cutting and then put them together. So that's the road I'm traveling down with Block 7. Let's see how it turns out. I am back after having cut out all of my pieces. Here is my palette. And, whoops, A didn't want to stay. So what I'm going to do next, I think, is for ease in laying it out. Oh, you've probably thought of this, but if you're doing scrappy as I am, what I do once I have selected my fabrics for each letter, I go ahead and make my dot, my little label for that, and put it on that scrap. so I can then refer to the correct fabric as I'm cutting. You probably thought of that. I just thought of that a block or two ago. Okay, what I'm going to do is make my center pinwheel and my 4 corner segments so that I can then lay it out and make certain everything is where I want it to be. So that is my next step. I just think it'll be easier. And just as Cindy did in her video on this particular block, I may also sew my 2 rectangles together. So that's where I am in the process, and I am going to move on. And yes, it still looks fairly busy to me, but we'll see once it's in all of its little component parts. See you in a bit. Well, I didn't have any real issues with the block, but this is the real epitome of scrappy. Would you look at, I mean, you almost get dizzy looking at it. Maybe something in the middle might be something I'll aim for in the future. The pinwheel went together nicely, surprisingly. The corner blocks with those funny flying geese all over the place, I seem to be able to understand what I should do. And so now all that's left is to sew my rows, make my rows, and then sew the rows together. I did double check all my measurements. My measurements came out the way they should be. One was just a little scant, maybe by a hair. I was not going to take it apart. But other than that, everything squared up, looked good. And I think, seems like in the video, Jenny said, I think it's Jenny or Cindy, this junction, once it's sewn together, should match up with this one. I'm anxious to see if that happens. But there it is, my scrappy honey blossom, and now on to sewing it all together. See you in a bit. All done. This went together really, I think, almost the simplest. Last week's was fun, though. I enjoyed last week. I still may do that as a larger piece, a table runner or something. But here it is, all sewn together. Get back a ways so you can see the whole thing. I did follow Cindy's suggestions and used straight pins to help me remember which side of the interior blocks I was sewing together. So I didn't have to rip any of those out because I followed the little hint that she had given. Only took me 6 weeks. Well, this is the 7th week to remember that. My intersections are almost right on. These two are a hair off, but it's amazing what I can tolerate when it comes to either tolerating or ripping out. It's just maybe a 32nd of an inch. And let me tell you, that is not enough to keep me awake nights. So I am finished with Lori Holt's Honey Blossom and am anxiously awaiting next week's challenge. Again, here I am. This is now going to go up on my design wall with its companions, and wait for one more. See you next week. Thanks for watching.